Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who may or may not already know, my name is Alex, aka YELLOOBERRY. Hey, I don't bite. So today I come to you guys with a heavy conversation. As we all know, George Floyd was murdered on May 25th, 2020. Ever since then, the country has been in an uproar. There have been protests, there have been lots of looting, there have been angry people, which I completely understand, especially being a black woman, coming from a black family, having black friends. George Floyd could have been anybody that I know. Trayvon Martin could have been anybody I know. Breonna Taylor could have been anybody I know. And the thing that really strikes and really makes this a hard pill to swallow is that black lives are literally being taken just off of pure racism. Like, it is what it is. It's just pure racism. I actually read a tweet by B. Simone that everybody kind of was in an uproar about, but I didn't feel as if she was wrong for saying what she said. B. Simone tweeted, "Doing your part is more than social media. Doing your part is loving your neighbors, praying for the enemy, calling your black friends and checking on them, signing petitions, donating, meditating, looking in the mirror and becoming better. Before I try to lead, let me examine myself." Since the murder of George Floyd, I personally was lost. I just felt like I'm in a bubble. I feel like I'm black. I feel like I feel unheard. I feel unprotected. I feel like everybody black I know is just unprotected. I just feel like even with us looting, we're still not receiving the respect that we're demanding. We're still being looked at as animals. We're still being looked at as, oh, but this is what you guys are doing, when there's a totally bigger picture here at the fact that black lives are being taken at the hands of racism, not even just police brutality. So for me, after reading B. Simone's, well, not after reading B. Simone's tweet, because ironically my boyfriend and I had the same conversation and I kind of said things aligned with what B. Simone said, is that before I can use my platform to try and speak and try to be righteous and guys put our fists up and let's do this, I need to dig into myself and pour deep into myself and really reflect on how I feel, reflect on how this is affecting me, reflect on what I can do even after the riots and the protests and the looting ends. What can I do? How can I use my platform to inform you guys of what is going on from today and forward? So for me, a little background story. I took Africana Study classes 2 years in a row, back in 2014 to 2016. And I learned so much about myself, being a black woman in America, what my position is, and just the inequality and the injustice that we face on a day-to-day, that majority of the time I'm walking around with my eyes wide shut. Like, I'm walking around and don't even realize how poorly I'm being treated in every aspect, whether it's my education, health, everything. So I want to take this time to use this platform to make sure that I educate you guys on the maternal mortality rate of black women in America. Again, I learned about this 4 years ago, and I was going to do a video about this 4 years ago, but then I kind of just detoured and took another route because I felt like, who would care? But look what we're going through 4 years later. Look what we were going through then. Look what we were going through before. These conversations are still prevalent, and I feel like as black people, even after this crisis, we need to continue to educate ourselves. We need to continue to pour into each other, show love to each other, respect each other, pour education into each other. We need to be there for each other. And I understand every race goes through their stuff. Every race doesn't like each other. Every race, it does not matter. We will be much stronger in unity. And it is what it is. So now, let me begin. I wanted to make sure that I come to you guys with much research. I didn't want to just, spew things from my past knowledge and stuff like that. A little background information, well, a little bit more background information. As you guys may know, if you're following me on my birthing center journey, I have switched over from midwives who are going to birth me in a hospital to birthing at a out-of-hospital experience. And the reason why I did that is because I am very much so aware of the death rate of black women, women of color, in a hospital when it comes to giving birth. I know that there are much inequalities when it comes to that. I know there are disparities. I know that it is all boiling down to racism. I'm going to link all my resources down below. One thing I read is that huge racial disparities found in deaths linked to pregnancy. African American, Native American, and Alaska Native women are about 3 times more likely to die from causes related to pregnancy compared to white women in the United States. The racial disparity has persisted, even grown for years, despite frequent calls to improve access to medical care for women of color. 60% of all pregnancy-related deaths can be prevented with better health care, communication, and support, as well as access to stable housing and transportation. We have the means to identify and close gaps in the care they receive. While not all the deaths can be prevented, we can and should do more. Something else that I read is about exploring African Americans' high maternal and infant death rates. And it's basically just a short story about Eric Garner's daughter, Erica Garner, who suffered a heart attack and actually ended up passing away. She had a baby and she died from basically complications. So this resource states, although all deaths are tragic, Erica Garner's death illuminates a devastating problem in the United States. African American women are dying at 3 to 4 times the rate of non-Hispanic white mothers, and infants born to African American mothers are dying at twice the rate as infants born to non-Hispanic white mothers. These two trends hold true across education levels and socioeconomic status. Even tennis star Serena Williams, a wealthy, remarkably powerful woman, nearly died from pregnancy-related complications. African American women of all backgrounds, including Garner and Williams, share experience of racial and gender discrimination. What I want to take from this conversation is that these racial injustices are not just happening with police brutality. It's literally happening to us everywhere. I've had so many conversations with my pregnant friends, pregnant family members, who I just feel like are afraid to question doctors. They're afraid to have certain conversations with doctors. We have been so conditioned to believe that doctors have our best interest at heart, when we have proven facts on the internet. We have proven facts of seeing what our friends and our families and everybody else around us is going through, that we are not receiving the adequate, I don't know why I keep saying adequate, the adequate care that we deserve in the health community. So now a story about even Serena Williams. She reveals that she almost died giving birth. So Serena Williams has suffers from pulmonary embolism, which is a condition in which one or more arteries in the lungs becomes blocked by a blood clot. Because she has a medical history with this problem, she's very familiar with, I guess, the feeling that comes with it. So after having a C-section with her daughter, she suffered those feelings again, and she tried to tell her doctor about it, and they ignored her. They ignored her so much to a point that she literally almost died because they ignored her. They ignored that she was saying she's not feeling okay, she's not feeling right, she's not okay, and she needs them to check her out. They ignored her. There are just so many deaths with black women in the health system, period, not just only with giving birth, but just in the health system, period, where we are ignored, we are not heard. Every problem that we have is swept under the rug. And it's so ironic. I took a health literacy class in my undergrad, and they teach you in these textbooks that basically, like, black people are known to over exaggerate, and black people are known to fabricate how they really feel, and we're lazy, and because we eat unhealthy, this is why things are happening to us, when that is pure and complete BS. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of us as humans eat unhealthy. We don't make the best choices when it comes to, a proper meal. But is that a reason to ignore the fact that I'm saying I'm having chest pains, I'm thinking I'm having a heart attack, and you tell me, oh no, it's not that? Or if I'm telling you that after I have a baby, my whole 9 to 10 months of pregnancy, I felt okay, I felt normal, and now the day that I give birth, I'm being rushed into a C-section because of complications, all of a sudden. So now let's get into that. Unequal motherhood, racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic disparities in cesarean sections in the United States. Disparities in cesarean rates in the United States represent an important social problem because cesareans are related to maternal deaths and to the high cost of American health care. There are pervasive racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic disparities in maternity care, as in health care more generally, yet there has been little scrutiny of how overuse of cesarean deliveries might be linked to their disparities. There are at least 2 possibilities when it comes to C-sections: Black, Hispanic, Native American, and low socioeconomic status mothers could be less likely to have needed cesareans, leading to more negative outcomes for both mothers and babies, or they could be more likely to have medically unnecessary cesareans, leading to more negative outcomes as a result of the surgery itself. This research uses data on all recorded births in the United States. The analysis reveals that non-Hispanic Black, Hispanic Latina, and Native American mothers are more likely to have cesarean deliveries than non-Hispanic White or Asian mothers. Also, after accounting for medical indications, increasing education is associated with a decline in odds of cesarean delivery, especially for non-Hispanic whites. The results suggest that high cesarean rates are an indicator of low-quality maternity care, and that women with racial and socioeconomic advantages use them to avoid medically unnecessary cesarean deliveries rather than to request them. That is another problem when it comes to Black women giving birth, or women of color giving birth. We are so uneducated in this field, not saying that's our fault, but because, we trust our doctors. You went to school for this. So I should be able to trust you. If you tell me, oh, listen, I'm seeing X, Y, and Z on the monitor, I think that's what we should do, I should believe you. But as colored people, we need to wake up and realize these doctors are not for us. These doctors will do anything to take our insurance. A lot of us are on public insurance. Take our insurance, rake that insurance, and give us a C-section when we do not need a C-section, which leads to more problems with our health. And then when we turn back and tell them, hey, I'm not feeling well, or my scar is not healing, or something's going on down here, we're looked at as like, oh, well, you're being dramatic, oh, just take some Tylenol, oh, just lay down, oh, it might be nothing. That's not fair. So as Black people, we need to start questioning. We need to start raising flags. We need to start using our prior knowledge, as simple as things like, hey, I'm having a normal pregnancy. Why is it that now I'm in the hospital, I'm being rushed for an emergency C-section? We need to realize that, again, I'm not against epidurals and Pitocin and all that stuff, but we need to do the research before we get into these hospitals and understand the risks and what the tumbleweed effect is when we do take these medications. Because these doctors are not going to tell us that. They're going to tell us, oh, the Pitocin is easier, it's just going to help you get through the birthing faster. But then with that, then guess what? Then you have to take the epidural. And now the epidural has messed you up for life. Your back hurts. This is happening. Now the baby's heart rate is slowing down. Now they're telling you, oh my gosh, we have to rush you into a C-section. And as a mother who does not know much, and you're trusting these doctors, you trust that, oh my gosh, the baby's heart rate is dropping. But the baby's heart rate is dropping is because of all these drugs that they have given you that they did not tell you these things are going to happen to you. They don't tell you that. I don't know why, but I keep feeling so sick, but I'm gonna get this message out. So if I throw up on camera, y'all know why. Another resource that I read was the causes of maternal mortality and racial disparities and maternal mortality can be grouped based on timing and include 1. Maternal health before pregnancy, 2. Access to care and quality of care during pregnancy and childbirth, and 3. Recovery support and access to care after childbirth. If you guys are following me during my birthing center vlogs, I did explain to you guys that I did feel that the original people that were overseeing me for my prenatal care were not giving me the adequate information that I needed. They weren't telling me much. They weren't really checking in. Like, they would take my blood work, of course, but they weren't really saying, they weren't giving me any preventative measures. They weren't saying, okay, you should take a birthing class. Is this your first kid? They weren't really getting into the important things that they needed to get into. So with me knowing what I know and with me experiencing what I'm experiencing, I already knew this wasn't a place for me. It really wasn't. I already knew that now when it came time to giving birth, I would not know anything. I would be scared as hell to give birth. I'm trusting these people because they are experts, but I would have already had it in my mind that during my whole prenatal care, they did not care. They didn't even know anything about me besides the fact that, oh, my blood levels were this, my blood levels were that. They don't care. They don't care. And the more that we are uneducated is the more that they love it. So like what this research is saying, that a lot of the mortality rates are so high in Black women is because we don't know. We don't know. We don't have the resources to know. We don't have people telling us what we should know. A lot of us are not doing the research because we don't know to do the research. Because again, we're trusting the professionals. So now, with my birthing center, which I ended up switching over to, it was like a breath of fresh air just from the first conversation. I didn't get any blood work done by them at that point. They haven't even seen me in person. But that midwife was able to say, you know, what I want you to do right now is start taking an iron supplement and also start taking probiotics, because if a lot of you guys know, pregnant women suffer from strep B, which is like a bacteria in the vagina, which is very normal, and we suffer from losing iron because clearly we have another blood system going on in there from the baby, so the baby's pulling a lot of that from us. So the birthing center is already putting me in a position to make sure that we are taking preventative measures to prevent certain things, so that by the time I do give birth, I don't have to hear surprises like, oh well, you know, this is looking like it might be an emergency C-section, or this is looking like it might be an emergency this, or the baby doesn't look too well, or your levels are kind of low. We're not waiting until the 9th, 10th month of my pregnancy to start trying to figure things out and try to start scaring me shitless into a C-section that I probably don't even necessarily need, or that could have definitely been prevented from before. Even things such as taking a childbirthing class. I've never had a kid. A lot of us like to think like, oh, it's just a baby. There's just so much that you should know being a first-time parent, even being a second-time parent. There is never enough knowledge that you can know. There is never, oh, I've already been there, done that. There's always something that you can learn. There is always something. So after this is all said and done, I just want us to be more aware. I want us to start thinking deeply. I want us to stop taking everything that we are being told and running with it. I want us to start using our prior knowledge and our prior experiences and applying it for the future. When it comes to all aspects, our education, our health, walking down the street, we need to stop walking around with our eyes wide shut. We need to start asking these doctors questions. When they start throwing big words at us, write it down on a piece of paper. Matter of fact, I'll get back to you on that. Let me do my research on this. Let me see what the outcomes may be. Let me see what this word even means. Let me see how this will affect me. We need to start doing that because these people do not care. Look at our president. He does not care. They don't care about us. So after all of this is said and done, Black people, we need to make sure that we are loving on each other. We are pouring into each other. We are teaching each other. We are patient with each other. We need lots of patience because we have been through the mud for over 400 years, okay? Rome was not built in a day. It's going to take some practice and it's going to take lots of patience, but I just feel like there are just so many things that we can do in order to uplift each other during this time and the days ahead. So this story was just to put out a little synopsis of another way that Black people are treated unequally. We have to do the research. We have to take the time. We have to talk to each other. We have to educate each other. I hope that I've taught you guys something. I hope that I didn't miss anything. Please comment down below. I will also have some other ways down below that you can definitely help out during this time and the times to come. As I said, this is not a pit stop. This is not a, oh, this happened to George Floyd, we're gonna go crazy for the next 2 months and then forget about it until something else happens. No, this is a continuum. We must continue to educate ourselves. We must continue to make ourselves relevant. We must continue to question and say, do you have my best interest at heart? We must continue to do this stuff. We must continue to pour into our communities, pour into our businesses. It does not stop at just looting and protesting. But that is all I have for you guys today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.